Well, hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today at the North Carolina Museum of Dolls, Toys, and Miniatures. My name is Beth Nance, and I'm one of the founding members of the museum. We're thrilled to have you join us today as we celebrate our annual Tea with Mrs. Claus. Under normal circumstances, we collect toys for the Toys for Tots program, and the museum is full of children who are here enjoying sweet treats and stories from Mrs. Claus. Today, we have just me and Mrs. Claus, but we have a special program lined up for you, and we would like to share the day with you. So, without further ado, I'll introduce you to our very special guest.
Well, hello. Oh, these cookies look so good. It's been such a long trip from the North Pole. It's so nice to see you.
Hello, Mrs. Claus. It is wonderful to see you again, and thank you so much for making the trip. I know it must have taken you forever.
It was a very long trip. And by the way, Santa is so proud of this museum, and he is so happy to see all of the toys that he has donated over the years to boys and girls all over the world, and several of them are in the collection at the museum. And what's this I hear about a magazine award?
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Claus, for asking, and thank you for bringing Santa's congratulations from so far away. It means a lot to us to know that he's paying attention to what we do here in Spencer, North Carolina.
Yes, he is.
Well, that award was just given to us. We were selected as one of the top 30 must-see museums in North Carolina. And you can imagine what a wonderful, wonderful honor that was for us to receive that award, because there are hundreds of museums in North Carolina.
And why do you think they chose the Doll and Toy Museum for that honor?
Well, Mrs. Claus, besides the fact that it's Santa's favorite museum, I really do think that the museum was selected to win this wonderful honor because we have received donations from all around the globe, and these treasures that we've received are items that tell the story of children's happy times, and those stories are hard to forget.
Well, let's hear some of those stories, those Christmas memory stories.
Sounds great.
Laura Bullock was only 11 years old when she was given a 7-room, completely furnished southern mansion for Christmas. The fact that it was scaled to the size of her dolls made it even more attractive for her. The dollhouse was built by her grandfather, Elmer Nutt, and this was his first attempt at such a project. Santa Claus came through with furnishings for each room in the house. The idea came about when Mr. and Mrs. Nutt took Laura to an antique show in Greensboro, North Carolina, early in November. And when she admired a dollhouse that was on display, her grandfather told her he would build one for her. Nutt, a veteran employee of Duke Power Company, began this project at Thanksgiving and worked long hours into the night and on weekends. The plywood structure is open at the back for easy access, and one side of the roof is hinged so that furniture can be easily moved around in the upstairs rooms. The floor has a living room, dining room, and kitchen, and the 3 bedrooms and bath are all on the second floor. A local business hand-cut the windows to size, and Nutt added tiny wooden cross pieces to make panes for those windows. The green shutters are separately made, not painted on. Some of the wallpaper is the same, used by Laura's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Tommy Bullock, at their home on Sterling Drive, and some was selected especially for the dollhouse. The structure is painted white with contrasting green. This project made little Laura so happy, and what a great way for Grandfather and Santa to team up on a dollhouse.
Linda Tancordo grew up in the 1950s in a close-knit family in Paterson, New Jersey. She owned a small Miss Revlon doll and played with it constantly. Both birthday and Christmas were approaching when she was about 10 years old. She asked for a larger Miss Revlon doll, and her mother said, "You choose. You can have the doll or a party." Linda chose the doll, and they celebrated their first Christmas together after that. Big Revy went on pretend dates and married Mr. Bluster from the Howdy Doody puppet line. She was Linda's constant companion throughout Linda's early teen years. Then Big Revy and Little Revy were forgotten until years later when Linda's parents were about to move out of the family home. Linda was told to go into the attic and take what she wanted. Linda had not been in the attic for a long time and did not recognize the wrapped bundles. When she discovered her childhood dolls again, she looked into Miss Revy's eyes to see if there was any recognition. In her own way, Big Revy seemed to be happy to see Linda, and they have been constant companions. Linda, now married, a resident of Salisbury, North Carolina, and a volunteer at the museum, gave her dolls to the museum for all to enjoy. Miss Revy is a celebrity, appearing in our local magazine called the Salisbury Magazine, in an article about how Miss Revy and Linda connected with each other. And Miss Revlon has also appeared in a UFDC article years before.
This little dolly named Martha was a Christmas gift from Santa in 1947 to a sweet little girl named Nancy, who was 6 years old. She and her family were living in Greensboro, North Carolina, in a barrack in the Overseas Replacement Depot after the war. Her father's job was dismantling and recycling the materials from the Overseas Replacement Depot. Snow covered the ground that Christmas in 1947, but her mother let her go outside just long enough with her new dolly to take a picture. One of the reasons little Nancy loved this doll is that she has very curly hair, just like her father. This doll was donated by Nancy Williams Cheek.
The story of Betsy and her beloved Raggedies. Betsy is a lively 90-year-old who recently moved from a cottage to a smaller apartment. She donated her prized Raggedy Ann, Andy, and the painting of them to the North Carolina Museum of Dolls, Toys, and Miniatures. But with them comes her story. About 10 years into her daughter's marriage, her daughter told Betsy there would be no grandchildren. The following Christmas, Betsy's husband brought home the Raggedy Ann as a gift and the first grandchild. The next Christmas, he brought Andy, made by the same artist, who was a local craftsperson. He knew that Betsy loved Raggedy Ann and Andy because years before she had painted a watercolor of both Ann and Andy, and it stayed in their home for many years as a treasured possession. Now the dolls joined the painting, but how could they be displayed? Betsy and her husband looked for a long time for the perfect item and found a handmade wooden bench that both Ann and Andy could be seated in under the painting. All of those items were recently donated to the North Carolina Museum of Dolls, Toys, and Miniatures, where they can be displayed together and seen by all those who have come into the museum. It's a way to honor both the memory of Betsy's deceased husband and to bring the treasures to life for everyone. The Schoenhutt Family Bed. Albert Schoenhutt was a prolific toy maker beginning in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in the late 1800s. By the early 1900s, his company was known for well-made wooden toys. He and his sons went on to produce the circus animals and characters, wooden dolls, dollhouses and furniture, games, and models from life at that time. The North Carolina Museum of Dolls, Toys, and Miniatures has a special doll bed owned by one of Albert's granddaughters. Albert had 6 sons and 2 daughters. One daughter was named Emily. Her daughter, Eleanor Schoenhutt Stein Paris, owned the bed possibly in the 1930s. Eleanor's daughter, also named Eleanor Swanson, took the doll bed to auction, and North Carolina Museum of Dolls, Toys, and Miniature board members bought the bed at the auction around 2015. It is now used for Christmas displays and Schoenhutt doll displays all year long. It is a sweet treasure with a special connection to the Schoenhutt family, and especially to the female side of the Schoenhutt family.
That was certainly a wonderful tour, and Santa will be so happy to know that all these treasured memories have a home at the North Carolina Museum of Dolls, Toys, and Miniatures. Before I go, I need to have one last cookie.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Claus, and the cookies and tea are delicious, and it's such a treat to have you join us every year. We hope that you've enjoyed these precious Christmas memories that we have shared with you today. We hope that you will follow us on Facebook and that you will tune in to see what exciting exhibits and events we have planned for 2021. And we certainly want to thank Rachel Hoffman for giving us this opportunity to participate in the Christmas pageant. What a wonderful way to celebrate the holidays with friends and family who enjoy the same collecting that we do.
Thank you.